And we're back. MSN host thinks Scalise deserved to be shot. No surprise there. The lying press is spreading more hate and violence, as if they haven't done enough already. After months of vulgar anti-Trump rhetoric, months, let's try years, including ISIS-like beheadings and assassination plays, not to mention 12,000 death threats, a rabid anti-Trump Bernie bro went to a baseball field and opened fire on House Republicans, nearly killing Representative Steve Scalise, who is in an ICU fighting for his life. From what I understand, the caliber bullet was nothing more than a .22. I'd say a lucky shot, considering he let out 50 shots and only hit a couple people. Thank God his aim was as terrible as liberal ideas themselves. Since then, liberals have been relentlessly attacking Scalise, calling him a racist homophobe and praising his attacker. And now we see why we can't even give these people an inch. No apology, no inch given, no quarter given. Because we see what happens. They're like drug addicts with power. No matter how much you give them, it'll never be enough. And once they punch you and your head hits the ground, guess what? That's when the real attack begins. Joy Reid, a reporter for MSNBC, is now preaching that Scalise deserved to be shot. Scalise is a staunch Catholic and has been demonized for his religious faith and his beliefs by the left. Yeah, because the left are atheists. The only thing they believe is in Islam, and not so much the religion, but they see it as a tool to bring about Western destruction. Liberals seem to view his traditional values and religious beliefs as proof of his racism and homophobia, and are now using them to celebrate his brutal injuries. Well, that is totally sick. When it comes to the left, we must abandon all of our core values and beliefs and think the way they do, or they'll attack us, even while we're in the hospital bed fighting for life. It is shocking to witness the levels of vitriol from the left-wing politicians, celebrities, and activist groups, and indicative of deep division America is experiencing today. If liberals really cared about our country, they would cease their violent and seditious rhetoric, but instead they are doubling down. Our people are getting hurt, and killed, I might add. At this point, the liberal media is openly encouraging violence against conservatives, and the blood of all conservatives who are injured by their dangerous and hateful rhetoric is on the hands of people like Joy Reid. And obviously it's quite clear to see their plan. America was founded as a republic, not as a democratic republic, but as a republic, with conservative ideas. What the liberals are pushing is something that America never was. They wish to change the country for good, and not for the better. AM Joy with Joy Reid. Representative Scalise was shot by a white man with a violent background and saved by a black lesbian police officer. And what's the point? Disgusting. Classless MSNBC host Joy Reid attacks Representative Scalise even when he's in the hospital fighting for his life. I would like to say I was surprised at this act, but obviously there'll be more in the future, I'm sure. Breaking: Theresa May response to the London crash. The latest on a London crash in which a vehicle struck pedestrians. Prime Minister Theresa May's office says she has been told about the crash in North London in which a vehicle struck several pedestrians. May described the crash early Monday morning as a terrible incident. She said, "All my thoughts are with those who have been injured, their loved ones, and the emergency services on the scene." The leader of the opposition Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, and from what I understand, the Labour Party is actually in cahoots and in bed with Islam, radical Islam, also tweeted about the crash. Police have said the crash caused several casualties, that one person has been arrested.
This morning, our country woke to news of another terrorist attack on the streets of our capital city, the second this month, and every bit as sickening as those which have come before. It was an attack that, once again, targeted the ordinary and the innocent going about their daily lives. This time, British Muslims, as they left a mosque having broken their fast and prayed together at this sacred time of year. Today we come together as we have done before to condemn this act and to state once again that hatred and evil of this kind will never succeed. The government's emergency committee, COBRA, has just met, and I can set out what we know about what happened and the steps that we are taking to respond. Just after 20 past midnight, the Metropolitan Police received reports that a van had been driven into a crowd of people on Seven Sisters Road in Finsbury Park. Officers were in the immediate vicinity as the attack unfolded and responded within 1 minute. Police declared it a terrorist incident within 8 minutes. One man was pronounced dead at the scene. 8 injured were taken to 3 separate hospitals, while 2 were treated at the scene for more minor injuries. The driver of the van, a white man aged 48, was bravely detained by members of the public at the scene and then arrested by police. The early assessment by the police is that the attacker acted alone. Our thoughts and prayers this morning are with the family and friends of the man who died and those who were injured. On behalf of the people of London and the whole country, I want to thank the police and the emergency services once again for responding as they always do, with great professionalism and courage. Extra police resources have already been deployed to reassure communities, and the police will continue to assess the security needs of mosques and provide any additional resources needed, especially during this final week before Eid al-Fitr, a particularly important time for the whole Muslim community. This was an attack on Muslims near their place of worship, and like all terrorism, in whatever form, it shares the same fundamental goal. It seeks to drive us apart and to break the precious bonds of solidarity and citizenship that we share in this country. We will not let this happen. When I stood here for the first time as Prime Minister last summer, I spoke about our precious belief in the Union, not just the bond between the 4 nations of the United Kingdom, but the bond between all our citizens, every one of us.
Breaking. Trump goes after Ossoff. The Dems want to stop tax cuts, good health care, and border security. Their Obamacare is dead with 100% increases in premiums. Vote now for Karen H. And for those of you who don't know Karen H, I admire her spirit. Let's take a look at one of her interviews.
In that runoff race, Karen Handel joins us now. Karen, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for being here. You just tweeted moments ago to Donald Trump. Thank you for the call this morning. What did the president tell you?
He just called to say congratulations and encourage me and let me know that as we go into June 20th that, you know, it's all hands on deck for Republicans, and we take it very seriously, and I'm proud to be the Republican going to the runoff, and I think it's important in this district. This is a district where people know me and they trust me. And that's a big contrast to the Democrat who doesn't even live in the district. Gosh, he couldn't even vote for himself yesterday.
Yeah, so let's talk about how he got more than 48% of the vote. This is a Republican district. As you know, it was the district of Newt Gingrich. Tom Price won there by something like more than 60%. How did a Democrat get more than 48% last night?
Well, let's just keep in mind that on the Democrat side, they were largely consolidated around their coronated candidate here, and they spent upwards of close to $10 million. Just on TV alone, $5.5 million compared to roughly $75,000 that I spent on television. So money buys a lot when it's a very compressed race. That won't be the same in the runoff. Republicans are united. We know that this is an important race, and it's going to stay in the hands of a Republican, and I'm excited about the next 60 days.
But I mean, when you look at the numbers, you know, what's getting a lot of national attention this morning is that this seems to be about more than just money spent, because he got more than 48% of the vote. He almost won it outright. Had he gotten less than 2 more points, and he would have been over that 50% mark. So is this a referendum on President Trump? Is this a message that Democrats are sending somehow?
You know, I think it's important to understand that if there was one Republican, it was 52 to 48 or 49, so it still would have been a Republican victory. What I hear out across the district is this. The people of this district want a congressman that they know, that they trust, someone who has a real track record. They're not interested in someone who doesn't even live in the district, someone who has a really thin resume and very lacking in experience.
Sure, but clearly voters responded to him somehow. There's something appealing about Jon Ossoff since, again, so many people turned out to vote for him. What do you think it is?
Look, I think money buys a lot. This is a world of politics, and this is where we are. At the end of the day, the people of this district, they want a solid, independent-minded conservative, someone like me that they know, that they trust. And I believe firmly and am very confident as we come into the next 60 days.
Do you think that President Trump will come to Georgia and campaign with you?
I would hope so. I mean, look, all Republicans, it's all hands on deck for us. We know what's at stake here, and I don't think that this is about any one person. We all have to rise above it, that it is about the district that has a long legacy of Republican leadership, from my good friend, current HHS Secretary Tom Price, to Senator Isaacson and former Speaker Newt Gingrich. So we are all, including the very good 10 other Republican candidates, we are all going to be united because we know what our job is over the next 60 days.